Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Weya stay, yaga, yaga, wait. Yaga, yaga, wait. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Weya stay, yaga, yaga, wait. Yaga, yaga, wait. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Weya stay, yaga, yaga, wait. Yaga, yaga, wait. On this last verse, if you'd like to send some positive energy to someone who's hurting from the election, do that now, please. That'll make the song stronger, and the song will make your energy stronger. I offer this last verse in a good way. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Doya, doya, weya. Weya stay, yaga, yaga, wait. Yaga, yaga, wait. Let's remember our veterans. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. The ones that made it home and the ones that didn't. This is a poem by a Vietnam veteran friend of mine, Tony LeBoux. And I offer this poem in a good way. It's called For Those of Us Who. For those of us who served, sacrificed, and survived, we have memories. Some of them are true, like facts in a book of facts, while others are false. Some of them we choose to remember, others not. Those that are nightmares. For those of us who served, sacrificed, and survived, we have memories. Oh, we have memories. Somehow I'm still here. Somehow I'm still here, despite or in spite of all the threads of my life. The threads of my life that weave a unique design like a mosaic of shattered mirror pieces of my own image, of who I was or might be, or am here and now, threads and pieces of my life. Somehow I am still here. Somehow we are all still here. Tony LeBoux.
Okay.
And because of Veterans Day, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. You're the stars. I just like to get it started with a poem and then get out of the way of you. But I want to read a second poem of Tony's. It's called Welcome Home. What did I learn in the war? I learned that it's like a game. Some win, some lose. What did I learn in the war? The false winners are politicians and profiteers. I wasn't a politician. I wasn't a profiteer. I wasn't a false winner. What did I learn in the war? I served because I was young and patriotic. I served because I believed that I could help to make the world more just. What did I learn in the war? I know, I must, I can, I will survive and thrive with honor as a real winner. What did I learn in the war? I learned to greet our homecoming warriors, brothers and sisters with a hearty welcome home. Welcome home. Tony LeBoux. Welcome to Second Sunday Jihmye Poetry. I'll be your host today. I'm Jim Moreno, and this is our stand-in Zoom man. This is Mr. Chris Lanoy. He is a beat Zoom person today. Thank you, Chris, and welcome to whoever is on Zoom. And she is a hell of a poet too, Julie. And Julie, welcome very much. Well, we got you down to read, that's for sure.
Here's Julie.
Little housekeeping for today. Thank you all for coming. I need you all so much. Thank you very much for coming. If you need to use the restroom, it's behind me on the left. And if you want to sign up to read, I've got the sign up list, and we have lots of room for you today. Can we give some love for our feature who is here, sitting right over here? Hello. And so glad to have you here, and your voice is much needed too, sir. And I think one of the things that we'll be doing today is he bought some of his books. We have an author's table over here. If you have CDs or books, or you have a flyer about anything you're doing, please put it on the author's table, because Jimmy Collins taught me that we're all about supporting the artist community here. And he also taught me about what this sign says. When you look at this sign, all races, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, you are all welcome. And we're on Zoom today, so and whoever shows up on Zoom, I hope you will understand this is an all people's place. We get some love for the owner, Frank. Please avail yourself with some really good food over there. And our deli and our coffee and whatever he's got to drink over there is really good stuff. I want to say a little bit about Jimmy Collins, Army veteran. If you don't know who Jimmy Collins is, as you're watching on Zoom, he's right behind me. That's an art picture of him. He was in the Army. He was from Georgia, and he was in the Black Panthers. And he and I had one difference. He said it doesn't do any good to vote. I think we've just found out that it does do good for more people to vote. And I took an oath to defend my country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, when I was sworn into the Navy. And so this domestic enemy that we did not defeat, we'll have some more fighting to do there. And so Jimmy Collins was involved with feeding young people that were going to go to school hungry. The Black Panthers did that in 9 cities, 15,000 children a day. Government wasn't doing it, so the Black Panthers did. He was also involved in gathering medicines for elders that couldn't go get their medicines, clothing drives, and food drives. And that's the man that trained me. Can we give some love for Jimmy Collins, please? We'll be putting this on Zoom this week. And so if you're watching on Zoom, you're about to see some amazingly talented people. They've been very good for my heart for a very long time. We've been doing this since 2010. And Jimmy was only with us for 1.5 years, and then he died from sickle cell. And I went to his widow and I said, I'd like to keep going. Are you okay if I call this Second Sunday Open Mic Jimmy, Jihmye? She said, yeah, you got to do that. And when I talk with her now, she's living in North Carolina. she's in her last days, and I will tell her that you all send your love to her in whatever time she has left. I went to Frank and I said, I'd like to keep going. He said, yeah, we need to keep this going. There used to be murals of Jimmy on all the walls when we were first doing this. And, this is the mural I like the best. That hat represents him. This is some of his art that I got from him at his village, at his studio in Spanish Village. And so he's with us today. And we salute all the veterans and all the services today with these poems. Let's get going with a man that Jimmy Collins said was a talented young poet. This is Jesse Cunningham.
Hi, Jesse.
Poets have 5 minutes or 2 poems. Musicians have 2 songs or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I had the privilege of knowing Jimmy Collins pretty well. We first met at Balboa Park, where I was working in fast food, and he was working out of the artist village. And he really sort of taught me a lot about race relations in the early 90s. And then some years later, I had the privilege of collaborating with him some musically. I used to play percussion behind some of his poetry. And we were both working on publishing, and he helped me a lot, and he was a good friend and mentor. So I'm honored to be a part of his reading here, and I just love this event, and I'm glad we're all here today.
Yeah.
This poem is called In Liquid Stone. Drown me in liquid stone, encase me in the hardening earth, enrapture me infinite space without dimension on slates of time, indelible, inexorable on this ball of mud and rock. Spinning force will throw us together as figured forms, volcano frozen statues, back in womb and ashen ground. When centralizing, unifying force throws us together in dirt, they can wet the plaster essence, shape us from us again. All right, this next poem, give me just a moment. Drums, horns, and strings. Drums beat furious horses' hooves, shod with iron, cranking gears, turning wheels, heart booming beneath animal skin, hard stone hurling pelt down, other sounds, boulders sink below. Horns are sediment, providing form, stirring underwater clouds of mud and silt. Bray sweet harmonies, screech brazen riffs, fit notches and slots, crunch out mean solid walls, horns heavy ballast. Strings fly, elusive birds glimpse vague shape shadows from the corner of the eye. Unseen when looked upon, yet heard singing, free from gravity, hinting, highlighting, dissipating wisps, swell, fade, melodies hide, bleed between interstices of sound and silence. 2. The music moves, fleeting prey, well-oiled, sleek, efficient predator machine, breathes, consumes, leaves trails of bones, fresh flowers bloom in the wake. The music falls together as it pulls apart, union, division, with structure, amorphous, organic, pulse, expand, contract, drums, horns, and strings.
Yeah. Thank you.
Got some more love for that energy.
Yeah.
Need you, brother. Thanks for coming. Our next poet is someone that is going to be very important today. His reading voice is a combination between soothing, challenging, and erudite. This is Chris Ernest Nelson.
That's a surprise. I was only selling into the fact that I was here. Yeah. Well, it's always a surprise when you wake up from a nap. I have never read this poem in public because it is a private
I thought someone came in.
discourse with the Great Spirit.
Me.
Oops. Oh, and there he is now.
Hello, Chris. Hey, great.
Yes, there he is now. I asked the Great Spirit, what about the children? All the children who we kill in our follies in this world. And I was deeply troubled by that. And the Spirit answered me. Is that me again? Good Lord. They ever leave you alone, will they? I don't know how to turn it off, though. You have to deal with it. This is the answer. In the morning of the new day, the trumpets of glory will sound from the great hall of heaven, calling the children to the feast of forgiveness. Come each and all the angels will sing. It's time to celebrate redemption. All God's children will gather as one at the table of reconciliation. Every voice will rejoice and every arm will embrace as the pain and the losses forgotten and the errors and wrongs of everyone's life will be made right again forever. A still small voice. The memories of my own beginning are like clouds upon a mountain. They rise and fall with the wind. One day as heavy as burdens and the color of chains, the next is light and airy as feathers and forgiveness. The dearest of my children are pain and the loneliness of knowing caresses that should be gold were as cold as rough iron and just as hard to bear. And sweet tenderness, a crumb I ate alone in hunger. Still shining among native shadows, in light from an unfamiliar home, is the claim I make against my own childhood promise of a better love and a comfort that calls to me in a still small voice. And I would like to read this very new poem, first public reading. The breath I breathe. I think I am beginning to see in my character, in my lifetime, and in my body, the sum total of my choices, the lessons and the wisdom I have learned and practiced in the Spirit. I have often heard the voice of God in my life, in sweet lullabies and in soothing whispers, and I felt power in the hands that caught me when I fell into the abyss of wrong thinking. I know how evil stifles my breath in the dark, places where I act out my loathsome dreams. I see how these thoughts cower when I look them in their eyes and confess their names. I expel the demons of hate from my soul with every breath. For my breathing is the rhythm of righteousness, and in the breath I breathe, there is an ether of peace and reconciliation. Thank you for listening.
One more thing about the author's table today. There's some flyers over there that are important to me. For our veterans that have PTSD, or for our veterans who have cancer because of Agent Orange or burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan. There are free poetry workshops over there online, the second and fourth Thursday of the month. All the women who've come to these workshops are survivors of MST. The Veterans Administration calls the survivors, the women that are in our services that are survivors of military sexual assault. We call it MST. And some of those women are published in the San Diego Poetry Annual for the next edition. So if you want to, if you know a veteran that could benefit from a free online poetry workshop, please distribute those flyers. There's also a couple of poems that I read to Robert O'Sullivan last Sunday. If you would like to take one of those poems, please distribute that poem, because it honors Robert O'Sullivan, who has an open mic over in Escondido. And so our next poet is a Navy veteran. And I'm really glad that this poet is here today. This is Cora.
For being there. This is long. I have two quick poems to speak. One is a little bit anarchistic, but bear with me. The other one's more environmentally. This first one is called Spanish Mustard. The public, my people, have been the commodity of centurion democracies that matured readily from the dawn of economy to present practices of business determining policy. Our voices are nothing more than opinions on which we are charged per word per viewership nestled in the networks of private politics. Our information spaces are overrun with automated eyewitnesses and worldwide webs that absorbs every word, every snapshot, every viral thread that spreads and slips itself into a spreadsheet, cataloging what we eat, the hours we sleep, the dreams that persist against the matrix of time bombs, freezing effigies of we, the people, are the commodity of the centurion democracies matured readily from the pitfalls of liberty ran aground, spread out like Spanish mustard, broadcast across the country, covering fields of poppies and daisies that sprout from desecrated soils and indigenous histories. Democracy, bureaucracy, is a disease, I think, with symptomatic tendencies that confine us all to a chamber pot, marketed and bought for its bottomless pit, but nevertheless fills to the rim every time we sit and dream. The half of the population sings of porch swings and ethnocentric coteries that want to purchase people like property, that want to starve all individuals who refuse to place their beliefs in the we, the people, as a cult to cultural idiocracy bound for theocracy, where democracy has the propensity to equate currency to holy. All that is poor becomes the ring where we fret and fight for pennies, and the regime of beneficiaries confer that we, the people, are valued not for what makes us individually distinct, but for the continuation of circulated division and the bloodshed that irrigates the Spanish mustard upon our deathbeds. I'll give you a little bit of a half one. I went hiking yesterday, so if you haven't gotten out to nature, it really helps. It's easy to find relief and beauty that goes beyond contemporary measures. I walk a shaded trail, The giant leaves of sycamore trees litter the forest floor, as do the jagged edges of dried oak leaves. I try to savor every satisfying crunch with each step. The leaves stab my soles before dissemination, shredding. A creek alone passes parallel to the path I walk, and a clove beckons me closer. I hear the inconsistency of oak leaves falling from the canopy above, and I believe that long ago my own ancestors knew how to fade into the rhythmless soundscape of their surroundings. I think fondly on Paul Atreides and Dune, how the Fremen walk with inconsistent patterns on the sand to avoid attention from the spice worms. I attempt my best at mimicking the patternless footfalls of the leaf litter, born anew every second. Closer and closer I dance lightly toward the creek. It is my hope to arrive without disturbing the mixture of serenity and music here. Red-headed woodpeckers dance upon the fallen logs. They bob their heads and call out to each other in their efforts to find a mate. My arrival goes unnoticed enough that there is no intermission between displays of want. The water here is cold on my feet, on my ankles. The air shimmers the creek, creating slow ripples atop the movement of flow and furrowed lifeblood. The sun cuts the canopy above. The rippling wake of the creek creates light and shadow on the undersides of old oaks and shrubbery. It is easy to find peace here, among that which humanity has left behind for comforts that degrade overnight. I am reminded that I am alive, and the world is alive and thrives well when all can be still. It is when I go to leave, forgetting to remove my steps of their blunders, that I remember too how quickly peace can be broken. But even then, when I am away, it will sooner reform as if nothing had occurred. If only my kin, you all, could read these words and learn. Even as I sit now at the end of my script, the forest is at war. For across the valley, a speaker blares repetitive beats, no regard to the destructive force it has on the songs of creeks or birds. If only my kin could walk this path like I did, and learn how much paying attention, stillness, is a much better reward. Thank you so much.
And Julie Nunn has featured here. She's a published poet, and she is an amazing poet on narrative poetry, free verse narrative poetry. This is Julie Nunn, and she's on Zoom.
Can't have her.
There we go. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, I started coming to these meetings like before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then I moved up to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I've only been to one other meeting this year, and it's just, I feel so alive when I hear poetry, when I hear amazing poets like yourselves just doing what you do best, and it just makes me feel so alive. So thank you for welcoming me here, and I'm good to go, right?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so the first poem is just 2.5 minutes. I wrote these poems like just now, right before the meeting. So here we go. It's called To Live Life. Do not drown me with the heaviness which once was me. Lift me up to contemplation, take away the condemnation, offer me unto gratitude that waits at its post for the day to come crashing down. For when I frown, I weep. And when I seek out the good, my mood tanks into 1,000 goodbyes, for I expect only the tragic remains of you to spill out like lava flowing into the depths of nevermore. For the hope is soaring far too high, and like a kite, I rescind the justice of my fallible conscience as I wait for the earth to shatter, to scatter what once was me into tiny shards of colorful glass, like the unrequited mosaic of stained rainbow pieces, which was my life. I don't know how to put me back together, so I sigh, tethered to the notion that some form of devotion will pave the way to wholeness. I must revere me. I must lift myself up, duck when the arrows like missiles come soaring by, and contrive of a life that is so worthy of me, I will knock me off my feet as I bow strangely to the new notion that I am worthy of life. I permit myself to let go of the strife, and I can take things day by day with no expectations other than to live life, just live and be. Thank you. This one should be about 1.5 minutes, my second one. It's called Taken, Not Mistaken. The ending of an era has come about. The trash-talking, smoke-billowing part of my mind has been excavated, exonerated, hardened beyond belief. For I cannot go into the next decade seething at my teeth, wanton but not wandering through the terrors of my nights in an unforgiving strike against reality. For what I have seen, I see not now, and what I have been, I am no longer. I hunger for truth and wait for ambivalence to take the scene unto her arms, for she is alarmingly accurate at a stark portrayal of what is now and will always be. I will always be, never forgotten, yet saved from the disaster which was my life. I will not strike you from the record, yet I will record every syllable which you utter, for I am taken, not mistaken, by your brilliance, and this time I will succeed in life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Got, some more love for that one, please. That was really nice.
Thank you.
We need to talk about you featuring in 2025 sometime when you're ready. Okay, you come and we can do that on
Absolutely.
Zoom. All right. We care about you
100%.
all.
I'm ready.
Jack Stewart Smith's gonna come up the microphone.
Hello, family. I love you all.
Love you, Jack.
Appreciate that. I'm currently reading a book by Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survivors. I just want to say a quick quote. When we speak of this era of evil and darkness so close and so distant, responsibility is the key word. The witness has forced himself to testify. For the youth of today, for the children who will be born tomorrow, he does not want his past to become their future. And I'm wondering and I ponder and I'm trying to understand, and I don't know that I ever will, how each one of us is capable of such evil and such good. Trying to understand the human nature of us all. But there's hope in poetry. I love you poets.
Yes.
There's hope. And this poem here is, I wish you tons of peacefulness. It is hard feeling so disconnected. These surreal surroundings don't hold me anymore. I walk a steadfast path. I know this because I see my feet moving below me. I go not through life disheartened, but where is that promising future I once believed in? Tonight, I will look again for that one tiny glow. I know if I see it, more light will follow. 'Tis the glimmer of hope that guides me further down this road. When you are ready, dear friends, I'll be waiting upon yonder star. This one is Finding Resolve. Some believe and pray for better days, as hope sometimes disappears. Crumbled and dashed dreams seem to fade like receding tides into oceans of uncertainty. Caught in an emotional tsunami, tidal surges seem insurmountable, looking for refuge and comfort. Waiting steadily on irregular pavement, walking steadily on irregular pavement, a challenging task it could become. Dismay causing loss of equilibrium. Dear friends and family, be of good courage and kindness. 'Tis love that strengthens and guides us. Each of us an integral part, an integral member. Strength and resilience are key. In allness, we thrive and we climb and we climb. Finding resolve in this, our tiny blue planet keeps spinning. We fill our lungs with fresh air. The yellow sun warms us every day. We belong here. We were sent to this orb with purpose. Learn the song of the determined. The first line goes like this. I am here to learn and teach. I am the example for our children. I care enough to communicate. In finding resolve, I find myself.
Yes. Yes.
Poet, musician, sun dancer, philosopher, give him some more love.
Yes.
That's good. Our next poet is a award-winning poet. I consider him one of my best friends. I write better because I'm around him a lot. And he probably will say I'm around him too much. This is Joe Malash.
I believe in miracles because the other day I sat down and then I stood up. Yes, yeah, you have to be over 60 to understand that, or born in the last century. So when I sat down to write this piece, I typed in the title. And I swear I heard my wife yell at me, liar, liar. This is called My Last Word on the Election. Yes. On the day after the election, everything seemed to be slipping to the brink. Some feel that we're on the edge of destruction. not by fire, water, starvation, invasion, COVID, plague, cancer, heart failure, or stroke. Yes, we seem to stand on the lip of an abyss, and instead of finding the beautiful architecture of the body or love, we see ourselves exposed to malicious behavior. We hope everything will be all right because we think others are better. But in retrospect, maybe we should have prayed to be spared that one quick moment when what we suspected about our country, but were unwilling to face, was revealed. And now for something completely different. This is a poem by Lee Young Lee. And I've been trying to write this for 10 years. The woman you love is singing. Quit. Tell her what you love. Don't tell her what you believe. Don't tell her if God is dead or alive. Don't tell her what's wrong with the world or how to fix everyone in it. The woman you love is singing. Her voice is laying a table in the presence of death. The service shines, irradiating the cardinal points, dividing up from below. Now is not the time to quote scriptures. Now is not the time to repeat manifestos. The woman you love is alive and singing, making a new world out of all the love. Don't remain outside her song. This poem breaks my heart. Don't remain outside her song. Whatever enters her singing lives again, twice born. And there's only one way in. Speak your love clearly. So what if no one else can hear her? So what if no one else witnesses her making and remaking the world in the image of love? Soon her singing will stop. And all you will hear is the confusion and violence of a world untouched by her song. Remaining outside of her singing has cost you so much. Quit. Tell her who you love. Lee Young Lee.
Thank you, Jim. There's a run from Alaska to Peru every 4 years. It's called the Peace and Dignity Run.
Thank you.
And a whole bunch of people carry that off. The Native Americans that are coming from Turtle Island, the North America, they have eagle staffs. And the South American runners that are coming from the tip of Chile, running to Peru, they have condor at their staffs. And they relay run all those miles for world peace. And our next poet has done that twice. This is Michael Turner Ortega.
Twice the first 2 times, but through San Diego County for the last 9 times. Wow. All right. Can't believe it. Oh. Making connections between dreams and reality by Icarus Glaze. Who'd be that? Oh, swimming beneath on a blustery day, Impermanent night flowers reflect the sky. Only if you could, having been held accountable. Oh, holy terror. Walks labyrinthine, journeys to the end of night. An open window has nothing to say. The structure of prose, only slower. A celebration of ceremonial practices. We are the advocates to opportunity. Filtered news rides down the road with us, lays down a smooth groove. The reality of imperfection lives between our lives, in between sleep and wakefulness. Impressions of bar stools stand up off the wall. Everything hovers about without a sense of gravity, leaves us at a reasonable hour. Being in an altered state lasts a long time, perceived by its inner self, in charge of all that happens, looks upon the other side of upside down sideways, less rhyme, more remembrances, too numerous to name. Hallelujah, anyway.
Thank you, Michael. It's time for our feature, and I'd like to just read what he sent me. It's just a really nice introduction. Faribault Poet, aka Oso Lobo, attempts to spread enlightenment through entertainment, often being accused of being an angry Bob Dylan, teacher and social justice warrior. He is equal parts love and light and punch you in the throat chakra. He believes tattoos are physical manifestations of emotional scars and lost count of his somewhat around 20 or so. He is a native adjacent gypsy, recovering Jew humanist, nomadic performance artist based in Southern California, Southern Cali. Poetry and music are his primary weapons of choice. His I Can Do Poetry 2 Open Mic Poetry Slam World Tour has entered its fourth decade, spanning New York to Hawaii and Toronto to New Zealand. He thusly explains himself to no one and everyone. This world makes no sense to me, so I make music and poetry. Beowulf's highlights include Poetry Slam Nationals 2008, Rockville, Illinois team, San Diego Gladiator Slam finalist 2023, Rudy Francisco host, Whitewood, California Poetry Slam winner 2023, Dallas Poet Laureate Joseph, and I can't pronounce the last name, Tejo host, Wrightwood, California Poetry Slam winner 2023, Dallas Poet Laureate Joaquin Tenho host, New York City Poetry Festival featured 2023, Oakland Beast Crawl featured 2023 and 24. Another producer, book Poetry 2020 Division O Word Tornadoes. And he's got some more books over here. I think you get an idea. He knows what he's doing. This is Beowulf.
First and foremost, I need to thank you all. This is the first time I've been out in public since Tuesday. I only went to work and back, and I didn't want to go to work, but I knew that the way I was feeling was 100 times more what was going through the hearts and souls of my students, so I had to show up for them. And I want to thank you all for showing up here today for each other, because we're really going to need that. I'm actually going to open today with a public service announcement and a cover poem. The public service announcement comes from Noelia Cernia. She's an amazing poet online. You can find her, Noelia Cernia. She's got a new book coming out. The thing about being an artist is that we are meant to step in front of the bullets when the wars begin. We are supposed to name and call out things that make people uncomfortable and angry. There is a reason so many poets in Gaza and all around the world are always the first to be targeted. The people with the words to describe what is happening truthfully are dangerous, and they know that. Yes. These are the times that artists are meant for. We must be brave. This is not the time to be silent. A lot of us are about to face some terrifying and real dangers, and now is the time to speak. If you do not speak and are able to watch evil happen, you are just as bad as those doing the evil. This is the time that we must be brave. We are about to enter some troubling times, y'all. May we all find whatever courage we need to do the right thing. Artists, this is our time. Be honest, be brave, be true to yourself, be authentic, proudly and loudly. The people that are about to be thrown into a dangerous future need us to show them that we are not afraid to be who we are. People are going to need us to be the light. So let us shine. Peace, love, and poetry, y'all. I'm going to throw in some haikus and micros throughout the day. Here's my first one. An honest to God message from God these past years. Message not received. This is a poem by the amazing Talam Acey. If you don't know who that is, correct that. What if this is God's work? What if people walk the earth and live lives that fit the prophet's verse, spreading ancient wisdom like the Coptic Church, and those that know what they're hearing know that they're hearing something special. And perhaps eventually a poet will be sitting there here just to bless you, test you in this world of lies. And if you feel your eyes cry because they recognize that they're seeing the truth, and those chills up and down your spine provide absolute truth, that what is now, where politicians and clergy are proving themselves unworthy of your time, and television shows and music videos are proving themselves unworthy of your mind, don't be surprised to find that God is especially present in poetry dens. Guiding poets' pens, and not just those who prefer to be closer to God than you by making you ashamed of your sins when their lives that they have lived may not have been what God intends for your salvation. What if this is God's work? What if Creator realized that creation is imperfect, but only wishes for us to worship sincerely, to not be hypocrites, but to really be concerned about your fellow man, and to stand up to the injustices falsely perpetuated in God's name in foreign lands? What if this is God's work? And what if poets are closer to Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus than the preachers? Y'all didn't hear me. Y'all didn't hear me. I said, what if poets are closer to Muhammad, Buddha, and Jesus than the preachers? I mean, come on, y'all. Which one of us is closer to living in the streets, and which one of us are closer to living with Caesar? Which of us are living high up on the hog, and which of us are the poor, righteous teachers? What if this is God's work? And if so, then poetry is sacred. So y'all poets best be concerned with what you step up on this stage with, and be on your job. Because if this is God's work, then stealing from another poet is like stealing from God. And it's not about your use of sexuality or profanity, or whether or not you can use your tools to get oohs and ahs. No, it's whether or not you use your tools to improve humanity. What if this is God's work? And I know that blasphemers have hell to say, so I wouldn't say anything here today at Spacebar, Jihmye open mic, that I wouldn't be comfortable saying on Judgment Day. What if this is God's work, y'all? Let us pray.
Ode to America. Crescent moon reminds me of you, a sliver of hope disappearing into darkness. Renaissance needed, poets, please apply. What exactly is it that we are doing here? These last few years should have taught us important lessons, but instead we're using our opinions as weapons while revolution becomes just an honorable mention, and this great white lie continues to arm with intention. Dark Ages 2, coming soon to a reality show near you. Budget cuts continue gutting the poor while avarice and gluttony cheer on for more, perpetually cultivating this culture war, hoping that we'll ignore what's actually amiss. Books are the enemy, knowledge is sin, winning is everything, do anything to win. Silly zealots, look at the mess we're still in. Don't you know to beware what you wish? Dark Ages 2, coming soon to a reality show near you. Renaissance or die to this great white lie. Should you choose ignorance over truth? It's nothing new. It's all happened before. We have already witnessed what's in store. That's why they keep banning you from learning anymore. Dark Ages 2, coming soon to a reality show near you. Renaissance needed. Poets, please apply. I have like a vast array of emotions these last few days, and I haven't slept much. So y'all are getting it. Sorry.
Don't apologize for that.
Fear itself, the real enemy within. When I was a kid, we had to learn stop, drop, and roll, or fire will take its toll, and we had to know that hiding under the desk was an important classroom test, but neither of these drills ever prepared me for the real fears of this world. New active shooters, predatory computer users, and Capitol riot looters behoove us to recognize monsters aren't really under the bed, and they're certainly not the ones who are forced to be hiding in closets. No, childhood knew that Scooby-Doo taught us these lessons true. The monsters are everywhere. Hiding in plain sight, whether it be day or night, this colonizer mind control is what we really need to fight. Avoiding living room lava and bedroom quicksand never address this manifest of the ghostly white man. The real monsters kneel on necks. The real monsters write hush money checks. The real monsters don't care what we need. They sacrifice our human life just to feed their greed. So thus is our destiny. Pure death, you see, for any who should know better than to question or disagree. The real enemy is not the people on the other side, but the hatred and the fear that they use to divide. Yeah. So flee the bathtub piranhas while you scan for pool sharks, but recognize as they criticize, they're really just setting us up to be their next marks, preparing us to be pawns, to participate in a childhood's endgame, where Scooby-Doo now wears horseshoes and Shaggy's at the mall. Fred was spat out of his head and Daphne had a great fall. But Velma's well in living hell, now the queen of the mystery ball. When Hannah left, Barbara wept. Now the monsters masquerade as us all. I want to give nothing but love and support to veterans. But I also want to apologize for how we have been lied to and how we have been used. Go out and get your free food tomorrow, y'all. Fuck yeah. Because goddamn, we deserve more than that. We deserve housing. We deserve health care. We deserve a lot. But the problem is the way that the military is used and the way the military treats us. And I know this is a poetry reading, but I'm sorry, man. I got some shit to say. Our future right now, and this is real. This is fucking real. And people need to listen. Our future right now is going to be decided by two entities, the Supreme Court and the US military. And that's the bottom line. Because we already know what they want to do. We already know what they're going to try. They have made it very fucking obvious. They have not hidden it at all. So the two things that are stopping the future of this country from going where we all think it's going to go is the Supreme Court and the US military. So if you are a veteran or an active duty member, please, when the shit hits the fan, please decide to be on the side of humanity. Please. They're ready. And this is why I went AWOL during the first Iraq distraction. Because Gandhi said, when one is oppressed, none are free. They tell me to be all that I can be and then tell me what I can and cannot do. Why is it so hard to get through to the people that need to hear it the most? The host who invites only his investor friends and then pretends a heroic invasion, claiming that we're going to save them from their own history and identity so they can be all that he wants them to be. Freedom and democracy cannot be delivered from the barrel of a gun. I'd rather just watch the sun and sit under a tree, reading Iraqi poetry, because the only true way to ensure democracy is for all of us to actually know what it truly means to be free. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Tell me where to go, sir. Tell me who to kill, sir. I've got no free will, sir. I gave up my right to think for myself. Left it forgotten up on a shelf when you decided Halliburton needed new oil wells. And, you know, it was a hard sell, so you packaged it in 9/11 tragedy. Haven't we learned a damn thing from history? Back in Vietnam, Uncle Sam was up to no good and then had the nerve to hate draft soldiers, mostly from the hood. When we tried to take our own stand, they gave us the back of their hands with tear gas and Kent State aftermath. And now, like a recovering abuser, they're once again just telling us how we should use our military for their corporate profits. Why the fuck aren't we doing something to stop this? Isn't this our tax dollars that they're raping for a disaster of their own making? Yet we still stand by as our strongest sons and daughters die or come back in pieces that we can't even recognize while we continually uncover lies after lies after lies about why we're even there in the first place. Should they really have given their blood, sweat, tears, and souls for a cause that amounts to nothing more than just a recklessly planned black hole? You know, maybe Nancy Reagan was right. The only way for us to truly see the light, just say no. Okay, I had to get that out of my system. I'm gonna give you something a little more uplifting, but I had to say some shit. I would like to invite Anitra up to the stage. In case you don't know, Anitra is a wonderful storyteller, poet, loudkiss, which you are about to get quite the treat here. Okay, and just play something as beautiful as your soul.
Nietzsche, can you go closer to the microphone, please? Yeah,
You want me to stand up here?
yes, please.
I don't want to play right into it because it can be too loud.
Yep. I'll tell you when to start. The other thing that we have to be very, very aware of is that we are about to witness fragile masculinity on a level that we have not witnessed before. And when this shit is going around, your body, my choice, men, it is our fucking responsibility to tell other men that that is bullshit and to not tolerate it and to not put up with it. And if I see you doing that, you are just as bad as the people who are doing it. Period. End of story. And I am not going to debate that. We have got to be together. Without unity, we are not going to make it, y'all. That's the reality of it. And I'm sorry, but you know what? My grandparents lived through this in Germany in 1933, so I know what the fuck's coming. And we have to be ready. We have to have new underground railroads. We have to remember how to speak in haiku. We have to get ready, y'all. Like, for real. Okay. Ladies, this is for you. Can we get a little more light up here? I need light. Right. Awesome. That's awesome. Seeing beauty in person. If beauty were a person, she would exist within infernos, the fiery passions of volcanic flows scorching the skies of Mercury. If beauty were a person, she would be clouded in mystery, a necessary protection from predators who seek to prey upon her inner Venus heat. If beauty were a person, she would soar aloft as free as falcon flights, adrift on endless wind currents, caressing the clouds of earth. If beauty were a person, she would walk statuesque, solid mountain giant across vast moonscapes and valleys, rivaling those of Mars. If beauty were a person, she would loom larger than all, draped in gaseous forms that keep her veiled from the naked eye, released in storms that ravage Jupiter's hidden landscape. If beauty were a person, she would never have need for the rings of men. Her radiance would overpower their gravity, encircling the entirety of any Saturn. If beauty were a person, her orbits would criss and cross without any type of loss, gaining only the courage and certainty of the planetary twins, Uranus and Neptune. If beauty were a person, there would be no debate. Frigid, frozen fears would be dwarfed by her ability to be seen, no matter what any others may deem what she should be. Planetary, plutonic, or not, it is her decision, not yours. If beauty were a person, she would soul shine so brightly that all other versions would orbit around her, the center of all light and energy, given freely so all things could live in harmony. If beauty were a person, she would be you. And you. And you. And you. One continuously spiraling celestial spirit, an entire solar system of passions, mystery, freedom, vast expanse, raging storms, radiance, and courage, deftly defying any definitions of man. How much time do I left? 2 more? 3 more? 1 more?
Got 9 minutes left.
9 minutes? 4 more. Shit. Wow. I'm gonna quit. 3 more? Okay, 3 more. Let's see here. Yeah. I'm gonna do 3 more. Here we go. Whew. In those wretched countries where a man cannot call his tongue his own, he can scarce call anything his own. For whosoever wishes to overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin so by subduing the freeness of speech. Yeah. Benjamin Franklin said that. And now I am one single confused poet in desperate need of a quotarian, as America's train of thought becoming just a bunch of empty boxcars that Willie wouldn't even ride. So I'm forced to hide my treasons inside my rhymes, but every time I get up on stage, my rage, well, just a pretty show. You already know everything about to come out my mouth, man. You've heard this all before. A wise man speaks because he has something to say. A fool because he must say something. Plato. So what can I say that already been said, but I got nothing in my head. Nothing but rehashed song lyrics and reused TV episodes that are used to try to confuse and abuse, man. I ain't got no magic left. I'm just a victim of self-destructive theft. Many speak of changing the world, but few speak of changing themselves. Leo Tolstoy. So what can I say that ain't already been said, but I got all these thoughts shooting through my head, shooting stars, one and all, I'm sure, but are they really pure? Are they really the cure? Can I truly say that I'm spitting the truth when I'm relearning old lessons about myself each and every day? He who knows himself is learned. He who knows others is learned. He who knows himself is wise. Lao Tzu. So what can I say that had already been said? But I got all these voices in my head that won't let me stop writing until I right all the wrongs that lead to all the songs that make heroes out of killers and fashion out of shackle bonds. Man, I done gone and forgot that whole concept of divide and conquer, like black buffalo soldiers slaughtering the savage red man. When all they really should have done was just taking the time to extend a hand. Maybe even understand each other. Maybe then our motherland wouldn't have left us all just a bunch of bastards. I can sum up everything that I have learned about life in just 3 words. It goes on, Robert Frost. So while teachers were telling me that what I knew is in poetry, I was taking my rhyme and finding poetry of a different kind, because it just kept echoing in my mind. Man, the reasons are clear. It's the truth everyone fears. Like Chuck D once said, the crowd's so near, but you still don't hear. So what can I say that we already said? Well, I intend to beat this horse because it's dead, man. It's time to just wake the fuck up for real. Break the fuck up. And I just repeat myself so much, I'll just feel like no, the neck up. Fine. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, I hate quotations. Tell me what you know. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for your patience.
Love you, bro.
Thank you for being.
I totally did not prepare for this at all. I hope it doesn't show. I gotta do 2 more pieces. Here we go. You know, and here's the crazy thing about it, y'all. There's a lot going on right now. Like so much that we're being distracted by like some shit happening. When you think about it, there's much larger problems happening at the moment, and we need to pay attention to that. In the age of algorithms, nothing is true. The data is driven, and the vehicle is you. When the sun burns out, we'll light the world with tiny glowing streams, tiny glowing streams. When the sun burns out, we'll light the world with tiny glowing streams, tiny glowing streams. Stop, look and listen to raining death on the airwaves till you feel a comfortable numbing just between your ears. Free thought lulled into a dead calm, pessimist, subliminal mind rape, the assassination of the soul, lifetime programming for women, programming women. Movies for guys who like movies. No sissy boy chick flicks on here because everyone knows that real men still don't cry. They get even. When the sun burns out, we'll light the world with tiny glowing streams, tiny glowing streams. I can't tell if I should be terrified, troubled, irritated, or just plain pissed off at this quagmire of electrical currents trying to drown us all in the wake of 15-minute fame. Xbox, Netflix, satellite dish, how many channels do you wish? 100 million billion to choose from, but do any of them actually teach you anything even remotely close to real? Synthetic clothes, pathetic shows, what's in, what's out, what's new today? Shit, punk, that was old yesterday. Well, warm, wet mud, blood of our mother is scarred and infected with cold, hard concrete and steel. Birds and bees and flowers and trees and battered and bruised by self-starting signs, signs everywhere, a sign of one great big festering neon distraction. I have a suggestion to keep you all occupied. Learn to swim. Because when the sun burns out, we'll light the world with tiny glowing streams, tiny glowing streams. And for just $19.90, for just $24.90, for just $39.95 plus postage and handling, you too can own a piece of the American dream. But what they don't tell you is once you buy into that vacuum, you have to spend every waking moment of every breath of every second of every time, day of every time you wish you had the time just to stop by and say hi. But you can't. Because you're too busy trying to crawl and climb and rip and rend and tear and hope and pray just to survive, catch a glimpse of the sun. And, you know, if you're really lucky and let's be honest, a little obedient, then you might even get to steal a 2-hour window into lifestyles of the rich and famous. Because when the sun burns out, we'll light the world with Tiny glowing screams, tiny glowing screams. Well, Spacebar, my fellow poets, musicians, artists, I know where to find those birds and bees and flowers and trees and mud and blood. And I refuse to waste my time wishing that I had more time with you. So when you come to my place of business, you'll just find a simple sign. Gone to the open mic poetry. Yeah, I got one more thing I'm gonna do for y'all. Please, I'm gonna hit y'all with a little more honesty here. There are a lot of people in this room who are not gonna be affected as intently as a lot of other people in this room. And check on your folks, man. Check on your trans folks, check on your LGBTQ folks, check on your non-white folks, check on all of your women, check on your children. The things that your children are learning right now, check on your children. Check on everyone, man. Check on the elderly because they're about to get screwed hard. So please be there for each other. This one is dedicated to all of my sinner poets and proud weirdos. We are family. And I got all my poets in me. We are family. Stand up, everybody, and speak. Let they who live within sin cast the first stone, because we are not alone. This stone is skipping across the universe, sending ripples like gravitational waves to pave the ways for creative forces to flow. Far better than just rolling the bones, these stone-thrown ripples always beat the house solid. Never to be taken for granted, these granite salutations create the foundations that can bring down this Goliath nation of ego fuck towers built on funeral wreath flowers, reminding us that we have the power if we just choose to stand up and live it. We are family. I got all my poets in me. We are family. Stand up, everybody, and speak. So don't tell us not to throw our stones just because you need to atone for all of your sins against our humanity. That is the true profanity, trying to pull it all apart instead of bringing us all together. So let us flock like birds so we can spread the word. We must not let them cull our herd with false prophecy and forced autocracy. They will not block our way. We will have our say. It's time for us to have ourselves a real judgment day, because we are family. I got all my poets in me. We are family. Stand up, everybody, and speak. Yes, let's throw our stones. Let these ripples grow. Tsunami tidal waves that usher in new days of community, culture, poetry, and song. Because that is what they have feared all along. You know the words. We are family. Come on. I got all my poets in me. You can clap too. Come on. We are family. Stand up, everybody, and speak. I can't hear you. We are family. I got all my poets in me. We are family. Stand up, everybody, and speak. We are family. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for encouraging my behavior. And please be there for each other. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Right there.
One more time for Bear Wolf. One more time.
You vote for Nitro one more time.
Talk right now, isn't it? My goodness. We got another Navy vet coming up to the microphone now, and he was with a ship that went really, really fast. David Langenhorst, come on up.
Hey, Dave.
Next jump. Ordinarily, I'd be petrified coming up here after Bear, but I know that Bear accepts me for who I am. So,
Absolutely.
so it doesn't bother me. I do need to get this adjusted or. There we go. Thank you, my friend. And first of all, thank you all. This community is the reason I'm still breathing and I'm still sane. I don't know where I'd be without y'all. Really don't. I haven't been able to look at the news or hear the news, read the news since election day. And the one thing that stands out in my mind was this map of the blue and red map of the United States. And there was this big swath of red from the Dakotas down to Texas. Looked like someone had stabbed our country in the heart and she's bleeding out. That's what I remember. I'm not gonna let this, I'm 82 years old. I enjoy every goddamn day I have left.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. Nobody's gonna put me back where I came from. Okay. My perfect self. Probably heard this before, but as I was crawling out of the dark hole, my therapist asked me to express myself with colors or words. Her prompt was, what would I be if I were my perfect self? I decided to write a poem. The last words of the poem were, my perfect self would only be a better version of just me. That experience of writing and writing about me was transformative. For every self-expression exercise, I wrote poems. Then I wrote poems every day. And every day I got stronger emotionally, stronger in handling daily problems of life. One day, I felt the need to share my poems with people that I didn't know. I found poets at the bench in Balboa Park. It was Earth Day 2019. Deborah Ramos was the host. I recited a few of my poems. Nobody threw anything at me. No one criticized my writing.
Yeah.
Everyone accepted me for who I am.
We love you, Dave.
Thank you.
David.
Since then, I've found many more poetry events and connected with many more poets. I have found my community. Poetry saves lives.
Yeah.
I am an example. Poetry adds meaning to life. Poetry connects.
Yes.
I will never find my perfect self. I will continue to search. But right now, I'm a better version of it.
Yeah.
This one I call reflections. I have ridden this blue marble around the track over 80 times. So much drama, so many events. Some stand out in color. A war was stopped by splitting atoms and vaporizing people. A man with a purpose kept children breathing. No patent, no profit. Men gathered rocks from the Garden of Selene. And music rocked Woodstock. And iron curtains succumbed to rust. A wall of shame tumbled down. Separate but equal, a myth defeated. A president inspires youth, then he's shot. A shepherd shared his dream, then he's shot. 9/11, 9/11. Unending war. People vote. Majority wins, narcissism rules. A nation of laws remembered. The blindfold removed. The scale tilted. The 248-year experiment dissolves. One more, if I may.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it connections, and it's really important to me, is the connections that I have with you. Begin with any form of matter, skin or bone or sand or gold. If we could look deeper and deeper and deeper, still what we would find is mostly emptiness. Then structures of molecules and atoms. Finally, particles or waves, they choose which, in constant motion, spinning in orbits, making connections, building structures. Now let's go the other way. Planets, moons, stars, galaxies. We find mostly emptiness. Billions of stars and galaxies spinning around black holes. Planets in unseen paths around their star. Moons pulling on the planets in an endless dance. All connected by gravity, all connected by time. Every part of the universe connected by light waves. How many eyes see the light? In how many places? Over how much time? And everyone, everything, everywhere, assembled from the same box of parts. Stars had to live and die to forge the pieces. Some of those pieces formed structures that found ways to replicate themselves. Life, followed by death, repeating the pattern of stars. There is oneness. Nerves connect us to sights and sounds and smells, to tastes and textures, so we perceive creation. Living beings come together in clans, tribes, flocks, herds, swarms, packs, schools, pods, all connected. Parent and child, brothers and sisters, lovers, friends, poets, books connecting generations, the arts connecting human spirits, memories, faith connecting man and God, intellectual connections, emotional connections, spiritual connections, physical connections, sensory connections, never alone, always connected.
Yes.
Next week, I don't know if you remember this, but next week will mark 5 years since we lost Leslie Beebe. I don't know how many of you knew Leslie, but she was at Deborah's Poets at the Bench on the last October of 2019. And she was obviously depressed. I reached out because I came crawling out of a depression, and we communicated and I tried to get her to. Anyway, she said she was going to be okay. We were leaving town, and she ended her life the day I left town. I wrote this about her, and she wrote this poem called Hawkeye State, right? And told about when she was a little kid visiting it with her family in Waverly. I'm an Iowa kid, so she's a California kid, but she loved Iowa. And then she fell in love, and they lived together for 24 years and got married. But then he got sick, died, and that was about a year before this, before that poetry session. And it was also close to her birthday. She was really, really down. And she could make it. And I wrote this about her. when poems die. I heard her words, but saw the pain deep in those eyes, with her sadness overwhelming. All the words just muted cries. The universe had other plans, not together evermore. The void creates another void. All has stopped at 24. Warm summers in the house of white, happy child in love with words. In spring, two kindred souls will meet. Spirits soaring with the birds. A life fulfilled with joy, with love and joy, unfolding like a poem. Till autumn leaves and fortunes fall, leaving hearts without a home. Her love, her life to be no more. An empty, hollow feeling. She spends her days in memories. Just can't begin believing. We miss you, let's go.
Thank you, Dave. I was reminded when we were upriver in Vietnam, and the captain called one of the ETs to come work on the radar, and they sent me up, and I was looking at the radar, seeing what was wrong, and I had on these beads, and the captain said, "Hornsby, what are those beads about?" And I said, "Well, sir, I'm really against the war, and these are love beads, peace beads." And he stormed off the O1 level, left. And Ensign, let's call him Ensign Smith. And Ensign Smith said to me, "You are a disgrace to your uniform, young man." And then Ensign Smith stormed off the O1 level. And my buddy, who was a signalman, he said, "Jim, don't say that to the captain. He could shoot you because you said that. And your heart's in the right place, brother, but don't say that to the captain." So I would drink with the signalmen. They were great drinkers. And this particular signalman, over a period of time, taught me how to do semaphore. Because when you're a signalman, you can do semaphore. And so about 6 months later, Ensign Smith is standing next to me on the one level, and my signalman's up on the forecastle, on the front of the ship. And so I started doing semaphore. And I said, "Ensign Smith sucks with semaphore." And he was laughing so hard, he fell down on the deck, and then he disappeared. And I went, "Where is he?" Because it felt really good, doing that. And he came up to the O1 level. He said, "Jim, come here." And I said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Wasn't that cool?" He said, "The captain can read semaphore. Don't do semaphore like that when the captain's around." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Okay." So I don't know why you reminded me of that story, but it felt really good to say that about that incident. And maybe we've got some other things that we want to say as a result of some of what we've heard. Can we give all the poets some love right now?
Yeah.
Probably my radar.
Alistair, you ready?
I am.
Just Alistair McLeod, come on up.
I gave Jen a big, long introduction for me, but she skipped. That's fine. But I just want to tell you, guys, I'm coming useful. I'm an attorney who's never practiced law, but maybe I will. I'm a scientist who's never discovered anything. Maybe I will. God shed his grace on me and crown my good with love. Oh, Lord, made me, and I see. Not really rhyme there, well. Okay, now. Are you afraid? I am. Are you uncertain? I'm not uncertain. I'm completely lost. Are you angry? I am, but not at them. Oh, yes, I feel betrayed. Oh, yes, I feel like an outcast from my own country. But it's at myself that I'm angry. I should have known better. I could have known better. You know who got it right? The sports betting community. They put long odds on cameras. They knew. This is not the America I thought I knew. Whom can I hold responsible for my unfathomed ignorance? Here is what they did. Here is what they did. First, they focused on our hatred on the transgender people. Who spoke out? How many of us even know a transgender person? Then they focused our hatred on immigrants. Who spoke out? No one, because no one thinks of themselves as an immigrant. Don't search your family tree. We're all ignorant immigrants, except for the most disenfranchised, exploited, and denigrated Americans of all, the great tribal peoples of whom Geronimo is the last to give it. Then they pretended not to hate Black people and gay people and female people, but they did and they do. And again, I needed to say nothing because I was none of those. I was wrong. I was ignorant. And I'm sorry. I speak out now, whether they're coming for me yet or not. I speak out now for Black and gay and female and immigrant and Native Americans and every other voiceless soul they seek to trample on. Above all, I speak out for me. This is what they did. This is what they will keep doing until you and I stand up and shout for ourselves, no, not in my name, not now, not ever.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, some more love for Adam Stewart, please.
And brother, you make me have a fit of gratitude that we're recording this. Because there's gonna be more than just the 30 people that are here. They're gonna hear that important point. Thank you very much. Olivia, are you ready?
Yeah.
This is Olivia Mercedes. Let's give her some love, please. She's been coming here a long time now.
First, Bear, thank you for being here. I wrote 2 haikus while you were performing.
Williams.
That's where, is that Alfred? Does Alfred want to read?
We're cool. We're cool.
Okay.
So I wrote 2 haikus while you're performing. I'm gonna share them. None can cure my pain, but your poems remind me I'm never alone. Don't apologize. Your honesty is the hug my soul needs the most. Love you. I know you're all waiting for me to say something about the election. But today, I do not have any response for you to listen to. I'm not here to ask for your attention. I'm not here to ask for your help. I'm not here to ask you to care about a single thing. Today, I don't have any statistics. I don't have any stories. I don't have a plan. I don't have a point. I'm not here to give you hope. I'm not here to give you despair. I'm not here to give you a solution. I'm not here to give you validation. Today, I'm not here to yell, to scream, to cry, or to complain. Today, I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm not going to tell you what to feel. I'm not going to tell you what you already know. I'm not here to argue, to bitch, to debate, to grieve. I'm not here to disappoint you, to disagree with you, to commiserate with you, or to impress you. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I'm here. Except maybe because part of me needed to prove to myself today that you're all here too.
Yeah.
That despite this overwhelming doom, there are still people like you. People who show up to poetry events. People who make art. People who got out of bed today despite having every reason not to. People who remind me that there is still power in showing the fuck up.
Yes.
That even when this world leaves me without a poem to write, there are people to love.
Yes.
Thank you. I love you guys. All right, now I'm gonna get intense. I'm sorry. I'm
Don't
gonna,
apologize.
I'm gonna practice some slam shit for tomorrow. It's also some veteran shit. Happy Veterans Day to my favorite veteran. One whose tenure began not at retirement, but at his death. Who died not on a foreign battlefield, but on the soil of those who betrayed him. Succumbing not to a gunshot wound, but to the wounds of his soul, the wounds of a witness who could no longer stand to bear witness, so he did as heroes do, sacrificing himself for our sake, for the sake of reminding us what it costs to be complicit. Aaron Bushnell setting himself on fire was not an act of instability, but an act of sincerity. Proof of his intact morality, and in doing so became proof of the level of insanity that is our reality. Because let me remind you the way Aaron was responded to. As his body went up in flames, a cop came rushing with his gun, cocked and aimed at a human being that was actively ablaze, yelling to get on the ground, not because this cop thought that stop, drop, and roll would quell the flames, but because that's the position in which he is trained to place his victims. As if Aaron's burning flesh was somehow a threat, but it's not about being threatened. It never is. And as much as this image still enrages me, it has never surprised me. In fact, it's more like a classical painting, a perfect portrait of America, where in response to Black Lives Matter, they began building 69 cop cities across 47 states, executing anyone who dared get in their way, even those already on the ground, sitting cross-legged with hands up. They shot Manuel Terán 57 times. And Aaron was painfully aware of these billions of brushstrokes complicit in rendering this morbid portrait. The flames of his body in protest are more than a method, they are a metaphor. For the billions of bombs, bullets, and strikes that never pierced his body but tortured his soul, because they are torturing our world. To the extent that being burned alive became a cheap bail to pay for release from this dehumanized society. One in which the searing of one's own flesh is what it takes to spark our attention to the truth, because the truth is, the degree to which Aaron's sincerity shocked you is the degree to which our reality should shock us, should enrage us, should set our souls ablaze, because the longer we wait to repaint this colonized portrait, the longer we allow the brush to be a gun. The more strokes are painted with the blood of not just the martyrs, but all of us. Of our humanity that nature designed to bond us, but that the oppressor is using to divide us, to the extent that some of us choose to set ourselves on fire as a cop takes aim at our burning bodies, proving not that we are the threat, but that the threat to our shared humanity is our shared reality. So on this Veterans Day, I salute the soldier who sacrificed it all, not for his country, but for our humanity. Thank you.
So as you're watching this on Zoom, you just found another reason why we like to embrace the young people that come in. that, the young people are always invited to come here. Because, I felt like I was in Vietnam Veterans Against the War over there as I was listening to her. And, all the stuff that we used to do, she's doing now. So give her some more love, please. Thank you very much. And when this lady doesn't show up to my classes, I miss her. She's always someone who gives positive feedback to the other poets that are there. And she's just a hell of a writer and a musician, Nietzsche Carol Smith.
Just wondering whether I'm gonna sit down on this.
Sit down.
I'll try.
I can, yeah, let's clean it. And I'll adjust the stew.
I'm becoming a stoolie.
I'll adjust it to you. Sit down.
Thank you. She's probably this one. All right. Ah. Hello, beautiful poets. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I want to second and support everything that the other poets said up here. And it was heard and it was appreciated. I find that Bear pushes up so tight against reality that you can't ignore it. He's so immediate, and what he has to say is so important. Thank you. Okay. And I'm still a fucking queer. And I'm still out, I'm inside out, bisexual, and I will continue to be that through the coming administration. But I also want to share something that might be possibly helpful. Something none of you know about me, I think, is that for 27 years, I've been a practitioner of Kili meditation. What it does for me is help me to be centered and calm and clear. And when something is centered, it's very hard to push it off balance. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And one of the sayings I especially love that I'll give to you before I do this poem is, don't strive. Just stay with the clarity of your thought. Okay, so we're still going to have fun. We're still, as Bear pointed out and other poets, going to enjoy, as Cora pointed out, the trees, the birds, the sky. We know where to find some beauty and some peace. I took Jim's jazz poetry workshop the other day. I think of Jim as my poetry brother. And as always, I wrote something. It's probably the only time I write anything is in his Zoom classes. So I'm hoping this is going to work. I hope you enjoy this. Just a little background. I am a very ordinary, amateur, intermediate jazz player. But I had the privilege of studying with Holly Hoffman, who is considered by many to be the premier jazz flutist of the world. And Wimbledon is the peak of a tennis player's career. Birdland in New York City is the peak of a jazz player's career. And I'm going to play a few bars for you after this poem of her playing at Birdland with the quartet. She married Mike Wofford, and I know you're all familiar with Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And Sarah Vaughan.
Yes.
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 And her husband Mike was their music directors. They're music directors for both of them. Anyway, what you're going to hear is at Birdland, and it's her and Mike and their quartet. Okay, this is called Jazz Just Here. When jazz flutist Holly Hoffman was 8 years old and already playing jazz, A friend asked her mother, "Why do you let your daughter play that nasty music?" The snare shines up the melody, sliding after beats, after beats, after beats. And the bass stands up there like an unexpected uncle, bouncing those strings like a dribble down the court. The flute wails and whispers, crepuscular dreams back to the snare. And the piano hears it and says, ba-ta-ta-ta, ba-ta-ta-ta. The trumpets and the bones strut on in, exhaling those bang attack beats you cannot dust off or wipe away. And when Holly Hoffman fluted Mood Indigo on the radio, I shot her an email to say, "You naughty girl." She knew what I meant. I'm going to try to play it, a few bars of that for you. And I hope you enjoy it and see what I'm talking about. I think you can hear it. Let's see. Let's start from the beginning here. I don't know. Can I hold this up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll work.
That's a strut right there.
Oh, the speaker. Your own speaker on the box. It's on the box.
Like that?
Right.
You hear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop that. Stop. Stop.
You gotta know the secret word. The secret word.
She sent me a email before my last class and I went, oh, I gotta use that. And so I barely made the class on time because I was looking up the poet that she sent me the information about. So thank you, Anita. Thank you very much. Okay, our next poet is a young person who's been coming here for a while as well. Aaliyah, come on up to the microphone.
Been sitting while performing more lately, and it feels nice. I never sit. That's a lie. I sit all the time. I sit constantly. How is everybody doing today?
Good.
Awesome. I mean, other than the audience.
Right.
I know. I was about to say I'm gonna be. Sorry. Go ahead.
We're doing good because we're with family.
Yeah.
Yes. And we all still believe in the future, sort of.
There's going to be a future.
Right? Yep. We still gotta fight for it. Let's see. I've been seeing a lot of stuff online in liberal subreddits and other circles about gun ownership. Anyway, yeah, we're at an interesting time. I'm going to do a couple today. One on theme. I think you guys know what I mean by that. And then one devoted to a very special person for the back. Sorry, I'm having one. Sometimes my ear passages and ear tubes betray me. This is called Hal. This is from the morning after the election. I've been in a long-term substitute assignment for about 2 or 3 weeks now. It's been a lot of really hard work, a lot of really hard, really thankless work. And so I think the election hit me pretty hard. How do I teach my children that love and empathy are the foundation of the world? How do I go on when my first instinct is to call my students my children? And the Republican Party of the United States has promised to abolish the Department of Education and end public funding for schooling. How, in 6 months or more, will I help the little monsters who wouldn't shut up about Trump and about how Kamala was going to open the border understand that the reason they no longer have free breakfast and lunch at school is because President Trump eliminated the organization that paid for it? But can't they just give us other food? I'm sure they'll ask, who's going to pay for it? I'll ask back, can't the government people? They did, I'll say, but now that money is in billionaire pockets. So what is Trump doing for the people? How do I respond to that? What I've learned as a teacher, it is not a victory to walk away from an unkind or uncooperative student. It is not a victory to send a student to the office. I don't want to console myself that a student will get his comeuppance one day so that being made faces at, having fart noises made while I talk is a little less painful. I want him to grow. I want cultural change. I want education. I want empathy. Yesterday, I gave a PowerPoint presentation about empathy stories really chosen to show students how challenging others' lives might be without their ever knowing. One who had from the age of 7 cleaned movie theaters 7 days a week, starting at 1 in the morning with her whole family until school began, so their parents could pay the bills. One who had lost both their parents and had to endure constant questions about why they live with their grandma. My students listen to this presentation closely, for the most part, as well as 12-year-old kids do. You got to give them some room. How do I face them today and say empathy is worthwhile when the President of the United States is a literal rapist, found so in court, and when the entire Republican Party based their 2024 campaign strategy on hating people like me, the woman who's been stooping to her hands and knees to help them with their schoolwork so we can be at eye level, carries a backpack full of supplies purchased exclusively for their use on a substitute salary? How do I tell students who are clearly well-meaning Christian 12-year-olds that their Christ figure can't pronounce 2 Corinthians? How do I tell them I prayed every morning for her to win? For them. What kind of school will my niece grow up in? What kind of world will my nephew's children grow up in? How will I smile in class today? Thank you. Ending on a positive note. The man in the back, I don't know what that kind of hat is called, but it's the only hat in the building, so that's convenient. The man, other than the beanie over here, there's one more hat. The man at the table drawing with the hat is an incredible force in our community. I don't even know how to explain it. Brian is a backbone of the community in a way that nobody understands or fully appreciates. I've been way too busy lately, and I've been way too busy and haven't been able to go to much poetry, but every time I think about that awful feeling we all get when we start to get disconnected from our community, as we start to worry, is there still a community? I can't explain the feeling, but whenever I think of that fear, I think of Brian. So here's a poem called Thank God for Brian. This is from the jazz. This is from jazz. I didn't tell him that I was borrowing his portable charger brick so that I could charge my vape and get high to write one more jazz poem before the end of the night, but I'm guessing he knows. I'm guessing Brian knows everything, but just chooses not to say anything about it. You don't spend that long painting people without knowing some serious shit. You know what I mean? I bet Brian has the exact date of the apocalypse. He just doesn't know it, that he knows it, because when he learned it, he was too busy painting. My fucking nose. It takes an entire universe of focus to render my entire nose in one go, and Brian is a professional. Brian gets it done in one shot every time. Brian is everything a photographer and an artist both dream of being. Brian is a lesson in improv from the ghost of Charlie Chaplin. Brian is the best teacher, seeing everything, saying almost nothing until someone is in danger or in need. Brian is a promise embodied that the clean is only clean if you like it that way. Don't be perfect, be you. I bet is what he says if he ever talks in his sleep. And what he's really singing with his colors, his voice, is just too high for any of us to hear, even though it still affects an animal part of our hearts, just like a dog whistles. And the pinch it puts in your ears. Brian is the better nickname of honesty. Brian is what work wishes it meant when it wakes up an hour late on Monday. Brian says, Just go. A toast to your every attempt. It's all just the work, and eventually some of it turns out not to be crap. These aren't his exact words. Close enough, though. Brian is a phone booth in the rain in a windy city. It's dark and cold outside, but somehow this one incandescent light bulb is so warm. Thank you, Brian.
More love for that energy, my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I love it when you come here, man. Good to see you. All right. Caitlin, is this your first time with us? Give her some more. Second Sunday, give me poetry love. Caitlin Wire.
I did. I'm only going to read this one poem. And it starts out with a quote from Kay Ryan, which I witnessed. I went to a reading of hers when she was reading at the Carlsbad Library many years ago, where she said, "There are no trucks in poetry." And so thus this poem is called Truck Poem. And there are no staplers in the forest. There are no squirrels in my bathroom. There is a garbage truck slamming the dumpster repeatedly. Sounds like Transformers having sex in my back alley. Sounds like Friday head injuries healing from the curb. Why shouldn't Optimus Prime have his sultry, wayward romance in my poem? People are people. Trucks are people. People are trucking down the street with eyes like two broken mirrors. I keep imagining these things that should belong to each other. The bird and potpourri, the laundry detergent washing my hands, goldfish in my toilet bowl, or something like that. Something where I can staple liquid amber leaves to its branches, watch the silver and red glint in the sun, and drive a truck through all our impossible forests.
Yeah.
Caitlin, I want you to know that the international beat poet was writing, and after about your second line, he was looking at you the whole time, weren't you? He's the international beat poet. So please come back. Let's have you come back for more. And can we give Deborah Ramos some love because she's leaving? Thank you for coming today, though. Thank you very much for coming. If I'm embarrassing you, I love embarrassing you. The first time Brian gave me a picture, I thought he drew a drawing of me. I said, "Geez, I got to lose weight." And then the second time he gave a picture to me just now, I said, "Yeah, I guess I lost some weight." So this is Brian Meyer. Welcome, sir.
And thank you, Leah. I think that's the first poem somebody's written about me. And I just put out a book. Leah actually helped me edit it. It's on the table if you want a copy. It's also on Amazon.
It's amazing.
And I have no idea what I should read from it because I was thinking after Tuesday it would be completely irrelevant instead of more relevant. And I think my own personal experience, because I was a soldier and I spent a lot of time, I was reading Rise and Fall of the Third Reich when I was in high school. And the parallels to today are just too much. But I decided I'm going to focus a little bit more on Veterans Day instead of on that for my first poem. That way I can actually decide. I remember that night just before dawn. In a tent a few miles below the Iraqi border, We were a logistics brigade, 16th Corps support group, secretly staging the invasion for the ground war of Desert Storm. I was on watch as a private 31 Kilo doing comms. The captain, probably our best one, he ran the S2, our intel section. Near the end of one of those nights, a call broke the calm, chemical alarms going off. The water battalion was first, then maintenance, then ordnance, water, and fuel. Unit after unit was reporting nerve agent. We marked each report, pins on our map. We made it clear whatever this was heading towards us. We had maybe a minute. The captain ordered me to put on my mask to start making calls. They complain about dying with bombs, but have no idea what nerve agents do. You just breathe, a touch on your skin, you become like a puppet on a string. Starting with a bad cold, but soon you lose all control, your eyes burning, then running, you can't get away, remembering how you used to use bug spray. Now that feeling of being a bug, confusion, your mind betrays you. The strings strangle your lungs, you can't decide to breathe. You start to drown, your mouth frothing as your limbs start to twitch apart. You dance as if this hidden puppeteer from hell yanks upon your world. You seize up, you shit yourself. Every nerve in your body fries out in minutes. Coma or dead. I masked in emotion. It's a reflex we've trained for. Open, grab, pull the straps tight. Clear by blowing. Check the seal. It would protect my breathing and my face. But my mop suit was well outside the wire. Nothing to protect my skin, my body. Busy to put two and two together. I was a soldier trained to do this, to not think about dying. I cranked the switchboard, calling tent by tent, yelling into the phone, gas, gas, gas. As our chemical alarms started going off. Whatever this was, it was here. Then calling another, gas, gas, gas. I called HHC, our unit commander, yelling again, gas, gas, gas. She asked, what do you mean? And I explained myself. I didn't train for a question. You have seconds to don your mask if you want to live. She wanted to argue. I put her on with my captain, who replied, get that mask on. This was not a drill. I would keep cranking, bringing tent after tent, barking, gas, gas, gas. Dawn started to break. Stuart brought over my mop suit that would keep me safe. I was still alive, just a false alarm. A lot of false alarms. Probably the wind setting them off. So many all in sequence. Maybe there were traces of sarin somewhere. Still no idea what or why. So many of us came down with chronic fatigue or Gulf War syndrome. So many symptoms the VA would deny. Just thankful I had a life after this and a family. As this was just a memory. Another night. I lived through war. I don't know why I feel like crying after I read that. We believed in civility. I mean, who would believe civil war was possible? It's like a bad movie. We never counted on social media on how we argued, how the news incited it all. Every crazy side got equal time, really drove ratings. How we talked past each other, the same words with entirely different meanings. They were mean words. We thought that other side thought like us, that they had all that nationalism, that love of country. We thought they believed in this land of the free, democracy. They fought for God, not country, not diversity, not equality, for purity, never inclusion. We were not included. The literal Constitution rejecting modernism, that Bill of Rights, we called it originalism. That making us great again actually meant a legal coup, a fundamentalist theocracy to make us pray again. All the king's horses and all the king's men will never put this United States that we divided together again.
Brian's a regular at the Poets at the Grove, the last Sunday of the month over in Balboa Park. Thanks for coming here. Please come back. Let's give him some more love, please. So I just thank you all for the medicine, and Bear Wolf is here. He's going to be available to sign his books. Can we give Bear some more love, please? So I'm going to do another thing I don't usually do. I'm going to read 2 poems to end our time together. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for this beautiful democracy medicine that you all have. And this is called In Kindness of the Divine Children of the Sea, and it has an epigram. It's a poem from Eleanor Wilner, and that's this poem is in the book Poets Against the War. And we were made afraid, and being afraid, we made him bigger than he was, a little man and ignorant, wrapped like a vase of glass and bubble wrap all his life, who never felt a single lurch or bump, carried over the rough surface of others' lives like the spoiled children of sultans of old. And here's your poem. 3.2 million Puerto Ricans are divine children of the sun. The native Ortoiroid, Saladoid, and Taino of Puerto Rico are divine children of the sun. The lakes, rivers, lagoons, and bays of Puerto Rico are divine waters of the sun. The 239 plants, 16 birds, and 39 amphibians / reptiles of Puerto Rico are divine creatures of the sun. 3.2 million Puerto Ricans are divine children of the sun. The endangered Puerto Rican sharp-shinned hawk, the elfin woods warbler, the Puerto Rican broad-winged hawk, and the Puerto Rican boa are divine creatures of the sun. The forests and the rainforests of Puerto Rico are divine trees of the sun. The coqui is the divine frog of the sun. Spanish, English, Taino, and African are Puerto Rican divine tongues of the sun. 3.2 million Puerto Ricans are divine children of the sun. The music of Puerto Rico, the bamba, the plena, the aguinaldo, the danza, the salsa, the reggaeton, the Orquesta Sinfónica de Puerto Rico, and the Orquesta Filarmónica de Puerto Rico in the Casals Festival are divine songs of the sun. The people of the mountains of Puerto Rico, the Jibarro, are the divine musicians of the sun. In kindness, let's remember the food of Puerto Rico, mofongo with plantains, arroz con gandules with rice, pigeon peas and pork, Christmas pasteles with pork and adobe stuffing encased in green plantain masa and wrapped in banana leaves. And let's not forget lechon, pig roast, or arroz con dulce, sweet rice pudding, and shaved ice piraguas, divine cuisines of the sun. In kindness, let's remember Puerto Rican baseball, soccer, and basketball are divine sports of the sun. 3.2 million Puerto Ricans are divine children of the sun. In kindness and empathy, let's remember the starved slaves brutally shipped to Puerto Rico, chained together like animals, thrown into the Middle Passage Sea in bloody, sweaty chains, slavers collecting cruel insurance payoffs. The chained and drowned were divine martyrs of the sun. In kindness and empathy, let's remember those innocent, unwilling immigrants. Many of the reasons there are black angels in heaven, heaven heavy with our fellow citizens, Puerto Ricans, that in kindness and empathy, we fellow Americans can't allow to live or die in vain. In kindness, empathy, and strength, vote the racist out. Maybe not this time, but coming, our America is not spelled with 3 Ks. I think you'll know who this poem is addressed to. It's called To the Ones Who Want to Cut All the Flowers. Thank you very much for coming today. I really appreciate you all. You can cut all the flowers, but you can't stop the sun from rising. You can't cut the flowers of love in my heart. You can't stray monarch butterflies from their journey of generations. You can't stop the bees from protecting their queen. You can cut all the flowers, but you can't stop the tides from flowing. You can't keep the salmon from swimming to the pond where they were born. You can cut all the flowers, but you can't erase our love for President Kennedy, our love for our brother Bobby, for his brother Bobby, our love for Cesar Chavez and Gloria Huerta, our love for Dr. King, our love for Malcolm X, our love for Kamala, our love for poetry, our love for decency, our love for the cries of the gulls flying over the waves of the sea. You can cut all the flowers, but you'll never stop all the cultures of this immigrant nation, their love for decency. You'll never stop the seasons, and you'll never stop the desert flowers that bloom in the spring. God bless you.
Maybe.
So all you have to do is end it and then wait until it saves itself.
Yeah. That's what.
Okay, Bear's got some books for sale. Please help them out. God bless you, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, there's no more Christian.
Okay, that young lady boy got me too. And I was thinking, that's the end.